Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be looking at converting some Stormcast Eternals using the easy build Sequitor model. The idea behind this conversion is to make the Stormcast look far more medieval, giving them a more Brettonian feel from Warhammer Fantasy. Firstly, we need to remove the model from the sprue. It would definitely be easier to use the non-easy fit version of this model, as you'll have a lot more flexibility, but this is all I had available. The first thing I'm going to tackle is the head replacement, which was relatively straightforward. I'm going to be using the main head component from a Warriors of Chaos model, and then the plume from the top of a Stormcast Eternals head. We will start out by removing the head that we no longer want from the miniature. This is going to be nice and simple, just snip at the base of the neck and then use a knife or file to flatten the area. With the head chosen, I check if it will fit and give me the desired look before investing any more time and work into it. With the head giving me the desired look and fitting perfectly, I set about removing the horns that give it the original Chaos Warrior look. To do this, simply snip at the base of the horns and then use a knife or a file to remove what's left. With the horns now removed, I retest the fit to make sure that the head will fit correctly in position. The newly modified Chaos head looks a little plain on its own, so to add some extra detail I'll add this plume to the top of the helmet. This step requires a bit more work than the last. First we snip at the base of the plume, as well as snipping through other bits of the helmet, attaching it to the Stormcast head. This proved difficult to do with the clippers, so I instead decided to use my knife. Take care when using a knife like this, as it's really easy to slip and cut yourself. With the plume now removed, it requires some cleanup. I didn't like any of the extra embellishments and just wanted the plume and the base. Using my clippers I removed the parts that are sticking out from the sides. This is completely optional, as you may find that you prefer the look with these extra attachments and choose instead to keep them. If, like myself, you choose to remove these extra elements, use a knife and file to clean up the areas where they are attached to the plume. Take your time and lots of care with this step, as too much pressure could cause you to slip and catch either yourself or hit the plume, potentially ruining it. Next, simply glue the plume to the helmet, using some plastic glue. With that, the helmet is complete. Next, we're going to deal with the shield. This step is a relatively simple one. We're going to remove all of the raised details so that when it comes time to paint the model, I can do some custom freehand work on it. This will be covered in a separate video dedicated to painting this model. Make sure to subscribe and enable notifications to be alerted when that video is out. To remove all the raised details, we'll use a combination of slowly shaving layers away with the knife and filing them flat. The aim is to achieve as flat a result as possible. Although don't worry too much about this, as a rough surface will make the shield look more worn and like it's been used in a battle before. And with that, the shield is complete. It may look a little rough now, but when we prime it, all of the unwanted detail will be hidden. Next we're going to move on to the shoulder pads. This is by far the biggest undertaking of the model. Being an easy fit kit, the shoulder pads are already attached to the miniature, so these will need to be removed. Make sure to remove the trim, as this will make the shoulders stick out far too wide and ruin the effect that we're going for. To remove these, we're going to use a combination of the knife and file to slowly shave away at the edges. Take your time on this step, we don't want to damage any of the surrounding detail while removing these elements. With the way the model comes off the sprue, both shoulder pads are in two halves. Make sure to follow the mentioned steps on both halves. I have left these separate for ease of access. Make sure that as you're removing material you keep checking your work to make sure that everything is even. This will make it easier to avoid finishing the shoulder pad only to notice that far more has been taken off one side than the other. With the existing shoulder pads removed, it's now time to work on the shoulder pads that will replace them. For this we're going to be using bits from the old Chaos Warriors box, although there are a few modifications that are needed to remove the Chaos elements. To make the right shoulder pad fit, it required some force. I very gently bent the armour panel outwards to make it wide enough to fit over the area left on the mini's shoulder. Now to remove the Chaos elements. By this I mean the large spikes in the middle of the panels. To remove these, snip at the base of the spike, making sure to be careful of the oncoming spiky missile headed your way. When you have the spike as close to the panel as possible, file down until you have a smooth finish. With that step finished, we can now have a look at how the mini is coming together, using some blue tack to temporarily stick him in place. Now you could stop here and get him all glued together and get to painting him. However, for my first real attempt at converting, I was having far too much fun to stop here, so I thought I'd do a replacement on the mace and give him a sword instead. I line up the sword with the hand to see what elements I'll need from the new sword and which elements I'll need to remove from the existing arm. Through this process I decided that it would be best to remove the hand and attach it at the wrist rather than the hilt of the weapon to create a stronger bond at the contact point. In hindsight, this could be more easily achieved using a hobby drill and pinning the weapon into the hand. With the wrist prepped for the sword to be attached, I started working on removing the unnecessary elements of the sword. This sword is a two-handed sword, so we needed to remove the lower hand. I do this in sections, taking my time to avoid potentially damaging the sword. You may have noticed when I was clipping the wrist off of the second hand that a bit of the sword guard came off. I decided to lean into this as I was trying to remove the lightning bolt aesthetic anyway, and snipped off the other side to make a more Roman gladius styled hilt. Testing the fit of the wrist, it still requires some extra work to get the hand to fit in correctly. I make lots of small adjustments using my knife and file, making sure not to take too much off with each adjustment. And with that, all the elements are complete. Now all that's left is to stick the miniature together. For this we're going to use Revell's plastic cement. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. If you enjoyed, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell to never miss an upload. I'm aiming to make a video every other Tuesday, although when possible I will try to upload in between as well. Please leave some comments down below about which conversions you'd like to see me attempt in the future. If you want to support the channel further, then I have an affiliate link to Goblin Gaming in the description below. This comes at no extra cost to yourself and I get a small kickback. The best way, however, to support the channel is via Patreon. I have some fun rewards on there and I'm working really hard to get some new and exclusive content like more painting and conversion guides to go up soon. Thank you again so much for watching guys, and have a great day.